Once upon a time, there was a king. He had a daughter named Rossi. She was delicate and beautiful, like a rose. Because she was his only child, the king always kept her safe. The king forbade her from visiting or seeing the outside world. She was tired of living in a glitzy palace that was always brightly lit. She felt as if she were in a beautiful prison. For her, the outside world was a fantasy. Her maid used to tell her stories about how people lived outside. She was always fascinated by such stories and wished to go out and meet new people. Early in the morning, teachers would arrive, teach her, and then leave. She was always watched over by guards. Rossi, the princess, desired to end this princess's life. She intended to flee one night. She quickly changed her outfit in the third quarter of the night, when everyone was asleep and even the guards were snoring. She went outside and exited the palace through the back door. She came to a street. There was no one on the streets, just the soft light of the street poles. It was cold outside, and she had never been exposed to such weather. She tried to cover herself with a shawl, but it wasn't enough. She had caught a cold, and it was getting worse. She sat on a street corner. The sun rose soon after, and its warm rays fell on her body. Although she felt better, she developed a fever. Her body began to ache. A woman in her 40s walked by. She noticed the little princess and inquired as to why she was sitting there. "I've lost my way," Rossi admitted. The woman took the little princess home with her. Because the woman had no children, she adopted Rossi. Rossi was overjoyed to be able to see the outside world. She was also a little sad because she missed her father, her room, and her palace. She pursued her education in a school. She had a hazy memory of the palace as she grew older, and she had forgotten she was once a princess. Rossi worked hard in school and eventually became a successful doctor. 10 years had passed, and the king and queen had grown old. They missed their only daughter. In her absence, their lives were colorless, and their worry made them grow old. Soon after, the king became ill, and none of the royal doctors could treat him well. His condition was deteriorating. "Anyone who would treat the king and recover his health will receive a huge reward," the royal palace announced. Rossi considered treating the king because she was skilled in medicine. She went to the king's palace and checked on him. She gave the king some medication. Surprisingly, the king's condition improved and he recovered quickly. The king noticed a strange mark on Rossi's wrist one day, when she was checking the king. "Ooh, she is my lost daughter," exclaimed the king. Rossi was initially uneasy. But then the king asked, "Were you lost as a child?" Rossi was having flashbacks. She had vague memories of the palace. "Yes, I don't know who my parents are," Rossi admitted. "You are my lost daughter," the king told her as he held her. "I noticed the birthmark on your wrist." The princess cried with joy when she heard this. The king inquired, "Why did you leave the palace, lovely princess?" Rossi added, "My beloved father, I would never have been able to heal you if I hadn't left the palace that day." Father and daughter hugged one another, and ever since that time, Rossi lives in a stunning palace.